APR up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento during the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. Bill Bird Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. See us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. Enjoy the view this summer because the road is yours in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per 1,000 finance in 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is the Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 7725.
Experience a higher level of service. David Adamson Designer Jewelry has been providing you the very best of fine jewelry and repair in Lynn Haven for over 32 years. David has added Amber Anderson and Russ Clare, names you've known and trusted in PCB for years with your fine jewelry and watch needs. Find that one-of-a-kind engagement ring, that special anniversary gift, or something colorful just for you. Amber and Russ will find it or build it for you. Serving Bay County and beyond in Lynn Haven at the corner of Ohio Avenue and 9th. David Adamson Designer Jewelry.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Dublin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. Transmitting from the CBC Construction Studio. Get ready.
Let's play the game.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
I just don't think that anybody's going to succeed in that system.
It's a bad organization.
We're just a bad organization.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Onion pickles, onions pickles.
Live and local.
Look, it's impressive.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What's going on? Panama City Beach, Callaway, Northwest Florida in general. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 here on your dial on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Man, it's a little hot, though. It looks beautiful out there.
Wait. Little,
you know, that's just my optimism shining through that gray cloud with a little bit of a silver lining there.
It could be elephant little hot compared to like mouse little hot.
Yeah, there you go. It's a little elephant, no doubt.
So let me ask one question. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Bowling Green area, so very near Nashville.
So when I moved up north for a year and a half, they said, "Oh, our winters aren't that bad up here in Northern Virginia."
Yeah.
And then it got down to -4. And then I was like, okay, on whose scale is this not cold for a winter? And then, of course, I don't say Northerners because Kentucky is, middle.
It's kind of in the middle,
Yeah, it's in the middle. It does get cold up there, for granted. But then you come down here and you're like, 100 and what? Yeah, forget it.
Yeah. What do you prefer? This is LSU Jeff, by the way. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the heat or the cold?
Well, if you're going to make me choose.
Right in the middle.
No, I'm going to have to go with heat. I can tolerate heat for about 2 months, maybe. Yeah. And the same thing with the cold up there. I mean, it's not just cold for like January.
Right. It's like October to...
It snowed when I was up there. Was 2 winters up there. It snowed on May 1st. And I was like...
This is supposed to be on April, bro, if you're trying to fool me, but not May.
No, yeah. And that was crazy.
I've seen snow after Mother's Day.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Green Bay. So that makes sense,
Minneapolis.
right? Oh, Minneapolis.
I was in Minneapolis at the time, but
That probably makes even more sense, right?
Yeah.
It's the latest you've ever seen snow. Mine's probably January 21st.
I went up to Jackson Hole, Wyoming a few years back on a snowmobiling trip, but I can't remember what time of year it was. I mean, it was beautiful out there, but man, it's just a pain. You go in somewhere and you got 8 layers on, so now you're taking off all those layers. You walk into a restaurant, and you got to put them right back on to go, or you come back to the hotel or where you're staying. You got to take them all off. And you got to go back outside, put them all back on. If you gear up, you have the right stuff. The cold can be not terrible because it was 0 degrees and it wasn't terrible.
Right.
Gear, but it's putting all the gear on, taking it all off. That's the hassle.
So my last winter up in the cities, the high temperature for January, February, and half of March was negative 23. I Googled it.
I'm good on that.
I Googled the weather in Anchorage, Alaska. It was 45. I'm like, if Santa's out sunbathing and I got to wear 9 layers, it's time to move down south.
I mean, anytime you got a minus in front of something, it is like, this isn't even real.
Scale's broken. We got to retry this.
We're live and we're local from the CBC Construction Studios. You can visit their website at cbcconstruction.com or call them at 850-747-3815. Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Call or text us on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. Red 7T's, the brand that brands you. Call in question of the day as we have James Fife. We've got Chef Ross, Tyler Bishop. I'm David Hayes. LSU Jeff joining us for a segment. You just came to pick up a prize, and we're like, nah. Yeah. Get on the mic, big dog. We only got 15 minutes, and I do want to give him, I know you called in yesterday and talked with us about Coastal Carolina, LSU, all that good stuff, but I do want to give you some time in this segment. Of course, Chef Ross loves talking some college baseball with us as well. But we got to start with the call-in question of the day, the text-in question of the day. Best college football tradition in the country is... We'll just start with LSU, Jeff. What is the best college tradition? For the rest of you, text in your answers, and we'll do this later on around 4:40. But LSU Jeff won't be here then, so do it now.
On a sentimental note,
yeah,
it captures me, is the Iowa Hawkeyes in the fourth quarter, and they all turn and they all wave at the hospital, Children's Hospital next door. Okay, that's a grab right there. I mean, that's insane. I mean, I know there's so many other things like, Notre Dame's tunnel or Clemson Rock. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. I think one that's going to be forgotten, and it's an old tradition, is actually, and people don't think of it unless you're at the game, homecoming court at your homecoming game for football. I mean, that was kind of a big thing back in the days.
They're not doing that as much
No,
now?
they do that, but it doesn't get televised.
Yeah. It's and a lot of the times those homecoming games back in the day, I'm sure you guys remember when college football, like when they were playing their 11th game of the season against somebody before Auburn, it was like a pay-per-view game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to pay. You'd have to. It made no sense because I would pay for Alabama LSU, Alabama Auburn, and when I'm growing up, I ain't pay for no daggum Alabama game the way we was playing. But no, that was They would. I don't know if it was actually you had to pay to view it, but it was one of they
it was
one
of those
hardly
obscure channels. A lot of people didn't
I don't
have.
remember the homecoming king or court for a college game. I remember a lot big. It's big in high schools, but never. I don't remember that being a big thing in college.
No,
yeah,
still
Western did it.
I remember the homecoming game always.
Right. Yeah,
it was either Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Wisconsin Cupcake.
And a lot of the schools will do a former varsity team members come and they do a flag football game before the game. But there's a lot of. it depends on the school. They do a lot of different traditions. And
they honored
like
previous years, but it's.
Which is also really cool because that's something that it would be cool for them to televise it, but it's one of those reasons, hey, if you're really a LSU fan or if you're really a Georgia fan or Wisconsin or Bama or whatever it may be, if you want to really take part in some special festivities, go up there for the homecoming game because that's going to be something that you can't experience via television.
Yeah, Auburn fans were really butthurt last year because they were our homecoming game. It's one of those things. I don't know why it got scheduled that way. We had Mississippi State the next week; could have easily been them, but but it got. I mean, also we've dominated Auburn for the last 20-something years, so maybe that's why. But there's a lot of Auburn fans like the pre. Oh, how dare Georgia schedules this? And they lost the game, but that's my favorite college football tradition is Georgia beating Auburn. for the last 20 years or so, the last 20, 25 years.
Which is ending next year.
The Deep South's oldest rivalry?
They haven't officially announced the schedules yet.
Yes.
Did they?
Well, no, they haven't.
Yeah.
You're right.
If they go to the 1-7 or the 1-8, depending on how they do the blocking.
1-7 or 1-8. Okay, I'll see what
if they're talking about one permanent and then the rest rotate, depends on what they end up doing there. If we have a season that we don't play Florida, we don't play Auburn, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, I wish that these rivalries were more protected, man. Alabama Auburn needs to, but so you're saying because that's automatic, Alabama Auburn, so now Tennessee and LSU go out the window? Make that make sense for me.
I would love a 3-5, a 3-6. The other 6 rotate, you keep your 3. We keep Florida, Auburn. I don't even care who the third one is at that point. South Carolina, Kentucky, whoever. But man, a Georgia season, like I said, for you for not playing Tennessee, not playing Auburn, probably not playing LSU. I don't know. I know that's become a bigger rivalry since Saban's era, but
there's still that Alabama element of the Iron Bowl, But and for LSU, like I mean, golly,
we got the shaft on all the rivalries because traditionally it's always been Alabama and Ole Miss is our 1-2 rivalries in conference. We used to destroy Tulane before your days. Every year at the end of the year. And then in 91, they let Arkansas in along with South Carolina. And we got shifted where we had Arkansas at the end of the year. So they were like, okay, the SEC was telling us, this is your new rival.
Yeah.
And then it went on till 2011. And when Texas A&M and Missouri joined the conference, they gave Arkansas to Missouri, and we got A&M, and they said, now, this is your new rival. And then you know what it is now? Do you even know what it is?
Well, who was y'all? It was
Louisiana Lafayette?
No, because Texas and Oklahoma play, so it was Oklahoma.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we get the leftovers again. This is the third time in a row.
I never thought about it.
And they're all maroon or like a deep shade of red color.
God, you just have to learn to hate that color outside of that.
That's the only thing in common.
That's the stupid. And LSU does not deserve that. It's okay for no. Here's what I mean. Here's what I mean by that though. Missouri or someone else like that who hasn't done a lot for the conference, just pair them up with whoever. But LSU is a special team in the SEC, and they deserve to have a notable rivalry. But who is it? Because none of it's like natural.
The only other one it could be because Alabama's going to have Auburn, obviously, no brainer.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is going to have Mississippi State, no brainer. Yeah. The only other possibility is Florida.
I mean, that was their traditional crossover rival.
Yeah. We always played them out of the East when they had divisions.
I mean, and Florida does. I mean, Tennessee's a big game, obviously the Georgia game, but like I guess it would probably. The thing is, like Georgia-Florida would probably. I'd be curious to see, like from a Georgia athletic department, like if they had to get rid of one of those two games, which I would probably say the Auburn game, just because Florida-Georgia is such a big thing for like donors in that weekend St. Thomas or Amelia Island, doing the whole Jacksonville weekend. But, man, like I said, I can't imagine a football season not playing Auburn or Florida.
Another interesting, I think, perspective on this would be for Georgia fans or for the two rivalries of Georgia LSU, or not Georgia LSU, Georgia Florida and Florida LSU. I think a lot of people who are Florida and Georgia fans would say that the rivalry between Georgia and Florida is bigger. But I would say from my personal perspective, not that the rivalry is bigger, but that the LSU-Florida rivalry has been better over, say, the last 10 years than what Georgia-Florida has, because Georgia's kind of been blowing them out the water. That's not disrespect to LSU, but I'm going back to like 10 years ago watching those LSU Florida games. I remember one time being in Bowl-A-Rama and just like everyone leaving their lanes and going and watching LSU Florida. I can't remember exactly what game it was, but I think so. The point of what I'm trying to make is that I enjoy the rivalry of LSU Florida a little bit more than the Florida Georgia, but both of them, I mean, I don't think messing with these things, messing with these rivalries it's essentially everyone getting, upset about the amateurism going away in college football. That's how I feel about us losing some of these rivalry games. Yeah. Like, I feel like that hurts college football much more than someone getting paid.
So there's an unwritten rule in South Louisiana. You don't schedule a wedding the first Saturday in November because LSU plays Alabama that weekend. And I went to one wedding where somebody scheduled their wedding, and the bride's dad was a super LSU fan.
So how?
And
I wouldn't have paid for that one.
I can't tell you how many people were stuck to their phones watching the game that went into overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, come on.
Wait, so
are they still married?
Yes, they're still married.
Was that Brian Kelly first year where he beat Bama?
Wait,
was it recently, last 3 years?
No, wait, let me think about what it was back. It was before the 19 national championship.
Okay, so it was a little.
I want to say it was 17. So Coach Orgeron was coach.
Okay,
and we lost.
That makes it even worse.
I know, like 2 years ago, Kelly upset in overtime.
Yeah, they went for 2.
Yeah, we went for 2 in the first overtime and ended it. But this was like I think it was a 2 overtime or 3 overtime game, and Saban beat Orgeron.
Was that the 2018?
It might
That
have
would
been
have been the
17.
year. Oh,
maybe.
wait, 28. No, 2018, we beat them pretty good because that was Joe Burrow's first year.
Yeah.
And it was right after Hurricane
18.
Michael. I remember watching that game outside. We hooked the antenna up and put the TV to the generator and all that good stuff. So 2017 would make sense.
Maybe it was 17, 16, something like it was back in the teens, but yeah, I mean, it makes the wedding memorable.
So 2017 was 20-14 Alabama, or 24-10, 10-0 in 2016. Holy cow, that doesn't even seem.
Yeah, it might have been even further back than that then.
Yeah,
it's been a little bit.
I think so because we're tracking back here. Let's see 2015 just cause 30-16 Bama. Let's go 2014.
They were just going to read off the ones that Bama wins. Everybody looked at me. Let's see what. Nah, we're not.
Well, that would no count.
It must have been a long while back then. Yeah.
20-13, 2014, 6-yard touchdown pass to DeAndrew White in overtime. Alabama won 20-13, 2014.
14. So it's been 11 years. So
hey, they're still.
But I remember that game and that wedding. And here we go, you know.
Well, there you go. A little college football tradition turned into us being mad about the fact that our rivalries are dissipating. My goodness gracious. The Braves won 3-2 last night. We'll talk a little bit more about this game later on. They take on the Mets for game 2 of that series tonight. Coverage starting at 6. First pitch, 6:10. Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida. Brought to you locally by Bill Bird Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing. Big night for them, though. Again, we'll talk more later about that. I don't want to take away from the time that we have here with LSU Jeff. LSU Jeff, Shane Gillis fan?
Yeah.
Hosted the ESPYs this year.
ESPYs, yeah.
I've never actually sat down and watched an ESPYs. I'll watch like the highlights on ESPN later on that evening. This is going to be happening on July 16th. I might try to watch like the second half of this ESPYs. There's something about the guy that's just hilarious. So I'm looking forward to this ESPYs. Only one I've ever looked forward to. But Max brought up a good point. Back in 2004, Will Ferrell hosted the ESPYs. So I feel like it's going to be Ferrell-esque for this one.
I would think John Cena's done it right. John Cena's done the ESPYs.
I mean, no one saw him do it.
Peyton Manning did it. That was a little bit better.
Yeah.
The comedians do it better than that.
Yeah.
Better than
Who was it
athletes.
that did it last year? Because it was someone that I really wasn't looking.
Didn't Chris Rock host ESPYs too 1 year?
Ooh.
Possibly, yeah. Comedians just do it better.
Last there you go.
ESPYs
Oh, it was Serena Williams in 2024. So,
But the last ESPYs I was really looking forward to was Stuart Scott's speech at getting his award right before he passed.
Yeah. Man.
The Jimmy V Award.
Yeah.
Booyah, baby. I love Stuart Scott. There was none better. All right, your thoughts, man. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Chef Ross, do you have any questions for LSU Jeff on the College World Series, LSU and CCU?
How much did y'all pay those umpires on Sunday?
You know what? They did it to themselves. Coastal did it to themselves. As a coach, is toxic. He's a toxic boss. I've had toxic boss in the past. And he just wouldn't let down. And the irony of the whole thing is the 10th pitch was a strike. I paused it over again, make sure I know what I'm talking about. It was inside, over the plate, and don't post any pictures of the ball in the catcher's glove because the strike zone
is across the plate.
Over the plate. Mm-hmm. Don't be going back 3 feet behind the plate because that's not the strike zone.
Right.
It's over the plate, and that was a strike. And the guy wants to argue about something that's a ball. I mean, that he thinks is a ball, but it's not. So I don't agree with him getting tossed.
The argument,
but it was a matter of time. That guy was a hothead.
Yeah. But the argument turned where the umpire muddled, or the coach didn't understand the warning. So all the coach was asking about is what am I warned for?
Yeah.
What am I warned for?
So then he told him, and then what was his reaction?
Is that when the umpire tripped?
No. When he told, that's when he starts coming out or maybe after the first few words. Yeah. You've missed 3 balls.
You missed 3 out of 10 pitches, and he was walking towards him. And that was his mistake, is that he asked him, he got answered, he shoot him, and then instead of going back like he shoot him, he walked towards him and yelled at him. And there's a difference between talking to somebody and yelling at somebody. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's bringing up already like a touchy subject because he's already been warned, and now he's going to say that. That was it. That was the point where the guy's like, listen, I listened to your mouth yesterday. I'm not listening to it for a second day in a row. I mean, I don't know.
Was it the same umpire behind the plate?
They usually rotate.
Okay,
No, they
okay, that's
rotate.
what I figured. Yeah, with the crews, but still, he would have been a part of that crew.
They're part of that
right?
crew.
Yeah.
And you know what happens after the game with umpires? They're talking.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, has anybody ever umpired here?
Yeah, just little
not
league,
umpire,
say.
but
Not at that level, that's for sure.
If you know how it is, you're like, okay, you know, I like my job. I love sports. I love kids, you know, but then there's a point where you're like, okay,
This ain't worth it.
this ain't fun. You know, this is not good. It's not good. It's not a good example for the kids either.
I agree with that, but we're also talking about grown men right here. Even though we're talking about collegiate athletes, we're also talking about kids who are from 18 to 24 years old, or 22 years old.
Yeah, pretty much.
closer to 22. Yeah,
I just hate when something like this like dominates some of the conversation as opposed to the actual game, the actual results. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not so whatever side of it you're on. Like it just sucks for the winning team to an extent. Like
It
that's
does.
what everybody's talking about,
It
right?
does.
Like,
The worst picture.
Everybody's talking about is
Yeah.
Coastal. And
The
it's
worst
like,
picture is that if Coastal would have won that game, they're going to the do or die championship game with no coach.
Yeah.
And no first base coach too, because he got rung up as well.
But okay, so let me ask you a question. So on Friday, they had the news conference, and it was Coastal Carolina's 3 guys and the coach, and they were asked by Omaha News, "Hey, what do you think about your opponents? What do you like about them? What do you admire about them?"
Nothing.
And they had silence for what, about 10, 11 seconds, and then they go, "Not much." So they basically said, "We don't," and they said, "We don't know anything about LSU. We're not concerned about our opponents. We win on our own merit and our own goodness and all that." I'm like, you don't know who you're playing? Like, have you not watched film? Do you not know how Cade Anderson's going to rip you apart off the mound? I mean, come on, you have to know who you're playing. You know, it's like what is that guy? The guy that was at Florida and Ohio State as a head coach, and he went to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. He didn't know who Aaron Donald was.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude.
it's just crazy to me that as a football guy, how do you not know who Aaron Donald?
I mean, Coastal should know who they're playing. You should know who Aaron Donald is.
It's like, I mean, one thing that I noticed from the NBA Finals, you ask any one of the Pacers players about how do you stop this player or whatever, they're not going to say, oh, I'm not worried about him, I'm only worried about what I do. Like, no, they say he's impressive, one of the better ball players. That is sportsmanship, and that's also smart to build the confidence of them or whatever it may be, because when you sit there and negate them, all you're doing is saying, here, go hang this up in y'all's locker room in your bulletin board. Here's what you got.
But this is also coaching. You literally coach these guys what they need to say in these interviews. Just like you coach them on the field.
Right.
So that is coming from the coach. And if that is the coach's opinion that I don't care what they're doing, that's going to affect on the players. The players are going to have the same opinion because you want to toe the company line so that way you can keep on being part of the company.
Right.
Just playing devil's advocate, John Wooden never scouted his opponents.
They didn't
And
have
John
back in
Wooden's
those
like
days.
dead now. I mean, like he's been dead and gone.
They
for a
did,
while.
but it wasn't that he didn't care what their opponents did. He knew and coached his guys that if we execute our game 100%, it don't matter.
Okay, but I bet
But
you...
in the press conferences or interviews, he's probably still talking up the opponent.
Right, that's what I was
He's
going to
not
say.
saying
If he
that
had his star player over there on the left and, player 2 over here on the right, and they're asked a question on, how did UNLV defend tonight or how did y'all let them out-rebound you or whatever it may be, they're going to answer with respect of the opponent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100% John Wooden respects his opponent, or did respect his opponent.
Right.
Yeah, that's what Kirby does that really well. You hear his press conference he's like, they're a great team. I got a lot of respect for what they do over there, but I'm more worried about what we're doing. Like, we got to make sure we're correct in our mistake. Like, you can give compliment, you can not piss the other team off while also saying, like, hey, we just got to focus on our. There's a way to do it, and that was probably not the smart. Great, did it really matter? Who knows? But
I think there's more often than once every 10 years, there's a championship where one team thinks they're so great and there's no way they're going to get beat, and then it's either coaching or the other team figuring out how they match up and how they can take them down. And I mean, I think it was like 2001, the Lakers lost to the Pistons.
Yeah, that would be 2001 because 2000 they beat the Pacers.
That was one. Duke took out UNLV back in like 91, I think it was, in the Final Four. There was no way that UNLV, that was that stacked, was going to lose to Leitner, Hurley, and Grant Hill.
Yeah, Grant Hill.
And there's every so often, less than every 10 years, there's a team that comes out that takes out a big dog that you're like, How did they just do that?
Giants beating the
Pacers
Patriots.
almost beating the Thunder, Giants beating the Patriots, baseball, Cubs, Indians, Diamondbacks, Yankees, 2001 World Series. There's been a few of those, and I love it. I love the underdog stories. It's
Especially in the afternoon.
Especially in the afternoon. But it is, I think, to your point, it doesn't happen every year. That's a once every 10 years. And here's the other thing. CCU might have been the big dog because of the 2016 game. Yeah, 26. Well, no, 26 game winning streak. Yeah, 2016, absolutely. But LSU is a perennial power in college baseball. So
especially in the Jello shot game.
Well, really, no matter which way that you look at. But so for me, it's one of those things that Coastal Carolina should, like the players and the coach, should have had a little bit less bulletin board material. And then again, I'll go to Coach Schnall. Here's the beautiful thing for Coach Schnall, right? Look, it's over. It's done with. It was his first year, So he's got an opportunity right here to grow. The thing that I hated about it was it being so early in the game, whereas you could have chirped and let that be and not ride that argument all the way back to you coming out of the daggum dugout and then turning that into an ejection. I'm not so worried about the 2 games next year. I don't think that's but had you missed game 3 of the College World Series, like it's tough. Now, yes, majority of the blame, you can put that on the umpire. Or not the blame. It's he did make the wrong call. Or he could have been more lenient. However, the line was first crossed, not by the umpire. Because at the end of the day, it's not an automatic balls strike system, right? It's up to the discretion of the umpire. Regardless if you like it or not, know it's not a strike or not, it's still up to him, as much as we all hate it that play the game, right?
So did he think that he was going to reverse that call?
That's the thing. That's what I'm getting at. Is there was no change you get. There was nothing. Yeah. But you got to.
He may have been trying to get the next call.
They should have thrown bottles on the field.
Working on the refs.
But that never works. What are we talking? And I'm not saying that towards you.
In basketball, it works.
In basketball, okay. If you go about it respectfully,
yes.
You come at them the wrong way, it's going to work, for the other team.
It works in baseball, too, if you go about it respectfully.
You go about it the right way. Hey, and you can do it as simple as this. Send your, sorry. I love it. Let's go. But you can do it as simple as in between an inning or whatever, you know, like, hey, I kind of saw, where'd you have that pitch right there? I saw it maybe a half a ball outside. Where'd you see it? I'm just trying to, you know what I mean?
However you go about it, don't let the umpire turn his head.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you every pitch there's conversations between the batter, the catcher, and the umpire.
Right.
Every pitch. But how often do we see that watching the game on TV?
Well,
once every month and a half when one of those batter catcher gets tossed.
That's true.
So they advanced the guy to second base because he just stole the base on that play, on that pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of advancing, they took a total step back in the first inning. And they'd scored in the second inning, and that was the only time. Well, no, they scored.
That was a home run, right? To make it 1-0.
Single solo. But, I mean, they could have scored in the first. Then you score in the first, you score in the second. What are the chances of winning?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, hats off to LSU. They did outplay Coastal in those 2 games.
We're better. It didn't go to game 3. Coastal led for a half of an inning.
Yeah.
And the whole series, and it's over with.
And I do hate it for Coastal Carolina, like the fact that I hate it for the players, too, because, again, I said this earlier on the Inside Drive. If this happens in the 7th inning, we could have been talking about him creating a spark for his team.
True.
It happens in the 1st inning, and now you've got the players like, man, we've got to go the whole game without having our guy who's gotten us to this point out and not allowed to participate in this at all.
So I know there's a lot of different teams up in here, and I'm looking at Auburn, and I'm going to let you know right now, when they came out with the final rankings, Auburn got number 10. I'm going to tell you right now, Auburn got knocked out in a super regional by Coastal Carolina when they were the hottest that they've ever probably been the whole year. Auburn is not a top 10 team. in my opinion, they could be as high as like number 5. They were a really great team. I really thought that they
so
were
you're
gonna,
saying
I'm saying Auburn.
You're
is
saying
better.
Auburn. Yeah.
There's no way they're number 10 because they didn't make the final 8.
Yeah.
They're better than Murray State. They probably could have beaten an Arizona, maybe a UCLA, probably. They're a top 5 team. And it's sad because it's the matchups.
Yeah.
You know? And it just
They got
happens
swept by
sometimes.
Coastal, didn't they? Or did
They got
three?
swept.
Yeah, it was
the
2-0,
winning streak. Part of the winning streak.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's high praise for Auburn. I know that the people who are, fans of Auburn love hearing that. And because when you first said it, they are not a top 10 team. I'm like,
no,
let's talk about this.
No, they're
like,
higher. They're
higher than that. James, we got somebody on the line, and we're going to get them on the next segment.
No, they didn't talk to me, so I guess they didn't have nothing to say.
Well, there you go. We're going to go ahead and take a break. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a look at some Super Bowl windows when we get back. Keep it locked in to 104.3.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Dan Patrick Show.
10 years from now, when we look back, it's probably going to be Tyrese Halliburton. We'll remember because of the injury, how they had played. They forced a Game 7. OKC was the best team, but I think what the Pacers did created more headline conversation than what Oklahoma City did.
It's the Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings from 9 till 11. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Tuesday. A chance of thunderstorms and mostly sunshine the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze at 10 miles per hour out of the south-southwest, and look for it to be 91. Tonight there will be a likelihood of thunderstorms and mostly clear skies with the temperature reaching 79. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow with the high of 90. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hewitt Tire and Auto. Call 850-769-7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. The next evolution in sports talk radio. It's the Afternoon Underdogs.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Make it so. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back from quite possibly the longest first segment in Afternoon Underdogs history. I love it, man. Always fun when we're getting on a roll here in the CBC Construction Studios. Visit their website at cbcconstruction.com or call them at 850-747-3815. We've got James Fife, LSU Jeff, Chef Ross, Tyler Bishop, and David Hayes. I feel spoiled right now having this many voices to talk to. This is a lot of fun. Again, you guys can join the conversation by texting or calling us on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. A couple of other real quick thoughts here. Aaron Rodgers, pretty sure he's going to be retiring after 2025. We might talk a little bit about those Pittsburgh Steelers here in a second. I don't really have any other information other than what I just told you. I guess he was on McAfee?
Apparently.
Oh, there you go. So starting that, but we'll see. Do you guys think this is it right here for Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know if he's following the Favre script. We got like 3 more retirements before the official one.
Do we have 3 more? Because, well, I mean, it was like a year in, year out thing for Favre.
Favre would always say, I'm retiring.
Yeah. But his would be...
Rodgers has never went out and said, this is my last year, I'm retiring. So this is year 1 out of 3 or 4.
Okay, there you go. So we could see him with the Vikings. You're saying there's a chance.
But he did break the script by not going to the Vikings.
And
playing his second season with the Jets.
At least he stayed in the North, though,
Yeah.
right? So it may not be the NFC North, but it is the AFC North. All right, let's take a look at how open every NFL team's Super Bowl window is. We've got a few categories here, 5 of them to be exact. You've got a wide open window, a window that's open but it's closing, a window that's closed but opening. You've got some teams under renovation, and then there's 5 teams with no window. There is no window. I almost want to start right there with the teams that there's no window. But we'll talk about the teams who are wide open right now.
I mean, go ahead. No.
Well, the teams are the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Texans, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Washington Commanders. I feel like wide open windows. Can we honestly, let's start here. Can we honestly say that the Bengals have a Super Bowl window right now?
I mean, it's open, but it ain't wide open. I mean, that defense won't allow it.
I would put them in the close but opening section.
I would say open but closing because they have
no defense.
Yeah, but and the best player on their daggum defense, they can't even. And I guess that they're conversating again, trying to work out a contract. They're back in talks again, negotiating.
I would move Kansas City into that window too. They're all getting old.
I'm sorry. I know that it's the same exact premise here. What I'm about to say, like I don't know. You got Patrick Mahomes over there because at Cincinnati you got Joe Burrow, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him.
Patrick's getting old,
but Patrick is getting a little bit older there. But
Travis is getting old.
Travis Kelce,
but they've lost
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill and Hilaire, the running back. I mean, they've replaced a lot of these guys sometimes, and they're still one of the top 2 teams. What you going to do?
That's kind of where I'm at.
Their division's getting to be better, too.
Oh, my God.
The division is getting tougher.
When has a division been that stacked? Well, I don't think in my lifetime.
We're on like a 3-year run of,
last year's NFC
gosh.
North was that stacked.
What's that?
Last year's NFC North.
The Bears.
But going into the season.
Okay, the Raiders are the Bears, I guess you're saying? Yeah. Okay.
But going into the season, though, I don't think it was the NFC North last year. It was the AFC North.
AFC North.
Because it was that was the division. The year before that, it was the AFC East, right? Because it was...
the Jets were supposed to be good.
Yeah.
Miami,
and then
Buffalo.
The year prior to that, was it... Maybe it was the
NFC
the West.
NFC West with
NFC
the 49ers Rams, and when the Rams went in, 19 or something like that?
Yeah. So I feel like for the last 3 or 4 years, we've gone in.
It's been a rotating division.
But what ends up happening year in and year out, where we're so hyped on that division, they don't live up to the expectations. Yeah. AFC North did not last year, right?
With the step back that Houston took last year, are they still wide open or are they closed?
I think you have Philadelphia, Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City wide open. Outside of that, there should be either a separate category or something. Also, fun fact, Patrick Mahomes is 15 months older than Joe Burrow.
Wow.
15 months.
Older than Joe Burrow?
Yeah, only 15 months. Yeah. But so I just looked it up because we were talking about how old Patrick Mahomes was compared to Joe. But yeah, I think after the top 4, like anybody else being wide open, I can understand Washington a little bit. Maybe that team overachieved last year. I want to see it again. I think that's the thing is like some of these teams have had some, like even Houston, they had a great year 1 with Stroud. Last year was a step back. Washington, are they going to have that same step back this year? Minnesota and Green Bay being on the wide open, why? I think both those are a joke there.
Minnesota, for me, absolutely a joke. And the thing is it could be closed but opening. Because until we know the reality behind what J.J. McCarthy is going to bring to the table, we saw, who was it last year? Sam Darnold. Great for 13, 14 games. And someone who I was hum-ho for. Well, then his last 2 games, he was terrible. You know what I'm saying? So do I think that J.J. McCarthy is going to be better than what Sam Darnold was last year? That's hard for me to believe.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Darnold had the experience. That's part of it, too. Is like Sam Darnold played a good amount of football going into that. J.J. McCarthy hasn't. You know, he started 2 years of college, was a backup before that, hadn't played a snap in the NFL, was obviously hurt all last year. So the thing is, it's going to be a seamless transition. Seems a bit, I mean, you hope so if you're Minnesota, but outside of that, like, it's a very optimistic thing you're hoping for there. Yeah. And I mean, even then, like, as good as Kirk Cousins have played at times, as good as Sam Darnold, what has Minnesota won?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin O'Connell's been a great coach up there. Justin Jefferson's phenomenal. But, like, what have they actually won? Nothing. They haven't gotten close to really winning anything, like, as many games as they've won. So, like, it's...
Well, the organization puts them in the playoffs, but they just, they won 2 playoff games in, like, the last 11 years or something stupid crazy like that.
It's, and one of those was...
The Saints.
Yeah.
On a last-second play.
And we can make the argument that there was a little bit of offensive pass interference on that one, right? Or is that... Or, well,
no, that was Rams Saint... Wasn't that...
No, there's 2.
Well, because you got Stephon Diggs, and then you got what? Kyle Rudolph, I believe, was the tight end. It wasn't Kyle Rudolph because I would have been Minnesota.
The Vikings won.
Rudolph was the tight end in Minnesota.
Caught the pass.
Yeah, no, but I'm thinking,
the Saints guy fell down, and then he ran it in.
Yeah.
For a
next year was the Rams guy like just leveled the Saints receiver, right?
Yeah, it was a tight end.
Yes, it was.
That's what I was talking.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
so he leveled the Saints receiver?
Yeah,
it was DPI. DPI. For some reason, I was thinking it was a Rams tight end that pushed one of the Saints defenders, but I might be just combining Stephon Diggs, that play and that. So
yeah, but as an organization, the Vikings have been very supportive. So at least it's a good organization to work for, and you can do things with it. But they don't have the tools to get to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. So the Vikings are out. Bengals, debatable. You need a few more pieces. Hopefully somebody steps up, maybe somebody young. You never know.
Yeah.
Cheap ownership.
At least throw tackling dummies out to play defense so the opponents have something to run over.
That would be...
So what's the next group?
All right, so the next group, which is where I want to start with open but closing, but Detroit, the Lions. Is their window closing? Because I feel like last year was maybe the 2 years ago was the window opening, right? And then I feel like that I would say they're in wide open.
The biggest issue with Detroit is their coordinators.
Yeah,
you got Dan Campbell, who's not a Sean McVay. He's not a Sean McDermott. You know, a guy who specializes on one side of the ball. So if his coordinators struggle, he's going to struggle.
Happened 2 years ago to the Eagles, and then they had a decent season, and then they bounced back and won the World Series.
Well, they also went through 2 coordinators since then. You know what I'm saying? They had a whole cycle of coordinators in between there, too. Yeah. So, like, that's the biggest thing. Did he hit on these coordinators, or he's going to have 2 new coordinators in a year or two? That's the only way I'm okay with it. I still wouldn't put them above or below Green Bay and Minnesota in that division, though.
Or Washington, Houston, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I would say
a great roster.
I would say they're above Cincinnati as well. That's where I would have them right above Cincinnati.
They should be number 5 for sure.
Even if Cincinnati came out right now and said we've just re-signed Trey Hendrickson to a 3-year deal, I would still have Detroit above Cincinnati. But I would be okay with Cincinnati being wide open, but more open but closing. So the rest of open but closing, Detroit. How about the Rams? Do we agree that they're?
I don't even think they're open. Well, they had a great year last year. Stafford's like 160, so that's why its closing is.
No Cooper Kupp this year either.
Yeah, no Cooper Kupp.
He's with Seattle.
Some of that offense was aging. But that defense was incredibly young. So if they take another step forward this year, it could be a really fun defense to watch.
I would say that there's a no window for. I mean, outside of Matt Stafford, what do I see
but
over there?
The division's pretty light too, though.
Okay, but the Seahawks could be better, right? Or and let me say the Seahawks could be better, like an emphasis on the could, because is Sam Darnold going to be able to repeat what he did last year and kind of stay on that same level as Geno Smith did last year?
Maybe. A whole new system up there. Ryan Grubb going to Alabama, leaving Seattle.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's going to be a lot of changeover. I mean, DK Metcalf's no longer there. Tyler Lockett's no longer there. A lot of turnover on that Seahawks offense.
Yeah, like who is the wide receiver over there? Like, is it? I was going to say Doug Baldwin.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, it is. It's JSN. It's JSN. He's going to be the guy over there for them. How about Dallas? I mean. Are we really saying that their window is open?
There's no window.
No.
I mean, we are on the ESPN network, so we got to say things about Dallas every day.
Okay, yeah, that's
We're
right.
contractually obligated.
The ratings cow. Let's see. So no, for me, for Dallas, I would say it's hard for me to even say closed but opening.
Yeah,
it's
at
no
best
window.
under
Your
renovation.
coach is Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah. At best, it's under renovation. At best.
Yeah. Okay. But they're not renovating.
They're not renovating. Yeah. No. There's no window. It doesn't exist.
There's no window until Jerry leaves Probably the Earth because he's not smart enough to leave the team. I don't want to be morbid, but he's not smart enough to leave the team.
Until he leaves operations, however that comes.
I mean, when Jerry goes, the ghost of Jerry is just going to sit in that AT&T stadium and still control everything. So they're going to tear that stadium down, or it'll just be haunted by Jerry forever.
They're going to need to get a new stadium. Then maybe that could be their only way out. Tampa Bay Buccaneers open but closing. Agreed. I would say agree because Baker Mayfield has really put on for the Buccaneers. You've got one of the best wide receivers, most underrated wide receiver in the game, and Mike Evans. Chris Godwin will be back this year. So, but time is of the essence.
And again, a weak division, so the majority of your games are subpar.
Oh man, Seattle open but closing.
Under renovation.
Under renovation.
Newish coach, new offense, under
new everything.
And I hate that. I do hate that for Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold should not be a quarterback for a under renovation team. Not saying that he shouldn't. I just feel like he's got enough in the tank to be for an open but closing team. Not a close but opening. I don't think he's got enough of a window for himself there. But moving on to San Francisco, open but closing.
Yeah, I can see it. If they catch lightning and Christian McCaffrey
maybe a little. Yeah, it's close between there and the under renovation. I mean, Debo's gone. Ayuk got hurt. Purdy just got paid. What does that mean? McCaffrey hadn't been able to stay healthy.
So of those six, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the open but closing, the one that's the most true on there, believe it or not, I think it's the Rams. And I think it's because of Stafford.
Okay, all right.
I think Tampa fits in that very well too, though.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I love that. I love bringing that element to it, though. Like who fits this category the most. So who would you say?
I mean, I kind of man. That is tough. I think the Rams and Tampa Bay are definitely the two best fits
to pick
there.
From.
They're really the only two that fit there. I think Detroit should be up one. I think the other one should be down. It's really good. I think that Rams defense could be sneaky this year. There was a lot of first and second year guys getting a lot of snaps on that defense with a new defensive coordinator. If they improve even a little bit on what was a great team, like you're talking, that offense with Sean McVay is going to be fun, but it's probably not going to have to put up a ton of points.
What did they lost to the Eagles in the second round?
Yeah, in the snow in Philadelphia.
Like 10 or 9?
I want to say it was the Rams had the ball with a chance to score and go ahead late in that game too. I mean, they could have easily.
It was less
Philly
than
out.
6
or
less
like
than 7.
It was the only team that Philly struggled with. In the playoffs,
it was like a fourth down conversion or attempt that was close. And if they had converted, I don't know if Philly would have had enough time to convert, to win that game. And if Philly loses, then who knows? But I mean, obviously a lot of what ifs. Doesn't matter, but they definitely gave Philly all they could handle in that snow game.
I can't remember who they beat in the first round, but I was a little surprised.
Detroit.
It was Detroit.
It was Detroit. In Detroit, Stafford coming back to...
Because that was the 2 and the 7? That was the 2 and the 7.
Yeah, I believe so. Because I think the Rams rested their guys, not worried about seeding, instead worried about the rest. And, they were like, we don't care who we play. We want our guys to be healthy type deal. And it obviously worked out for them.
James, what about for you? Who fits this category the most? Is it the Rams, Bucks? Maybe make a.
I'm going to say the Bucks with Baker Mayfield right now. He's really got them turned around. Defense appears to be getting better, and the rest of them in the group there. I mean, San Francisco is closing, but I don't really like their Super Bowl chances. So I'm talking like actually having a Super Bowl chance. I'm going to have to go with the Buccaneers.
The Bucks is my standout choice, but here's something else that I'm looking at: San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams. What's 3 commonalities there? They're all in the same division. That means 3 of y'all's teams are right here. So I'm gonna take San Francisco because Stafford. I love Matthew Stafford, but I just don't think Puka. What have we seen from him? Greatness. Also, what's the best availability? Or what's the best availability? Puka hasn't been there week in and week out, and he's dealt with some injuries there. So I wonder how that will affect Matt Stafford here. Then also on the flip side, is George Kittle for the 49ers? Is George Kittle still going to be as big of a receiver as a tight end for Brock Purdy? And then they've got rid of Debo. He's with Washington. So does Ayuk kind of have a season like he had 2 years ago? We'll see. I think we're past Christian McCaffrey. I hate to say that, but I do think that's the truth.
One team that hinges on the injury bug.
I've talked myself out of saying San Francisco, and it's going to be Tampa Bay. It's going to be Tampa Bay.
That happens. You start making an argument like, I disagree with myself already. I got to go somewhere else.
I was trying, man. Close but opening. You got the Chargers, the Jaguars, Chicago Bears, and the Denver Broncos.
Well, the Bears did win the offseason.
And again, when you win the offseason, we're talking about if it plays out in the regular season. Yeah.
Yeah, but they won the offseason. They went out and bolstered their offensive line. They went out and got more weapons.
See, I think you should have to have made the playoffs to be in the closed but opening. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in the process, you have to have proved it somewhat on the field.
But what is it? Every year there's 6 new teams that weren't in the playoffs the year before?
Yeah. So like I said, you should have had to prove it at least a little bit. Like, obviously, it doesn't mean anything. They got to win the Super Bowl this year. And, whatever. But, like, I think you should have, like, to be on the list, we're talking projections, you got to prove it on the field a little bit.
I'm going to disagree a little bit with that, I think, because there's too many instances where I've seen that, a team that was close to the playoffs, it could be in that category. But we're talking about the Bears. I mean, the whole division made the playoffs. What has changed? I mean, there's a few things that have changed, obviously. But are you really going to make it 3-3 in the division?
I mean, that'd be a good year.
I don't think they're going to win 3 in their division. If you can't win 3, if you can't go 3-3 and you're 2-4 or 1-5 in your division, chances are you're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So is it really opening?
What are the cross divisions? We got the AFC North and NFC North, don't we? Or was that last year?
No, I think you're right. I think it is AFC, NFC North because
that puts the Browns on your schedule.
Because Rodgers is playing.
Yeah,
the Packers
Rodgers is playing the Packers.
Yeah. So that'll be fun.
That puts Pittsburgh on your schedule, and if you catch them late when Rodgers doesn't care.
So, so the NFC North is playing the NFC East. So they're playing Commanders, Eagles, and Cowboys. Automatic.
But again,
I'm not worried about Giants.
I'm not worried about the Cowboys.
You're not worried about, Well,
the Cowboys are just a circus.
Look at Cowboys beat Bears. That's what I'm saying. I don't.
But you only play one of those teams, right?
No, you play all 4. They okay. So the Bears finishing dead last.
6?
They will automatically play the Panthers from bottom of the division and Arizona Cardinals, I think.
No, it's AFC North. AFC North.
No. Oh, that's the conference. But what I'm saying is just in NFC.
So
they play 4th place.
You got 6 games against the division. Then you got 2.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is we're going to pause, have this conversation behind the scenes, and then we'll come back after paying some of them bills and keep talking about the Super Bowl window. Why daggum not? Call or text us 850-215-6290 on the Red 7T's phone line.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd.
Last night was a real gut punch. It was hard to stomach. This was the 8th Achilles tear this year in the NBA, most ever, and the 3rd in the playoffs, most ever. The NBA is on notice. Shorten the playoffs. They started 2 weeks before the draft, the NFL draft.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Tuesday. A chance of thunderstorms and mostly sunshine the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze at 10 miles per hour out of the south-southwest, and look for it to be 91. Tonight, there will be a likelihood of thunderstorms and mostly clear skies with the temperature reaching 79. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow with the high of 90. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Get ready to discover new adventures this summer and hit the road in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Our SUV family is built for all-in adventures and endless possibilities. Stop by Bill Bird Kia today and test drive a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. You'll find the perfect balance with comfort, safety, and technology. Now offering 1.9% APR up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento during the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. Bill Bird Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. See us today at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. Enjoy the view this summer because the road is yours in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sorento with $1,748 per 1,000 finance in 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is the Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 7725.
Transmitting from the CBC Construction Studio. From the pros to the future pros, we're your home team station for home team sports. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back in the CBC Construction Studios. Call them at 850-747-3815 or go to cbcconstruction.com. We've got LSU Jeff, James Fife, Chef Ross, Tyler Bishop. I'm David Hayes. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. Call or text us on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. Our trivia question today, Chef Ross came up with it. It's brought to you by Hiller Plumbing. Our confident service technicians will provide you with a solution for any home plumbing, heating, or cooling problem. Let us show you how we can make you a happy Hiller customer. Contact your trusted licensed technician in PC today by calling the Happy Face Truck at 850-495-7822 or visit their website, happyhiller.com. Chef Ross, NBA draft coming up
tomorrow night.
What kind of questions what kind of trivia question do you have for us
So the
today?
trivia question today is, which team drafted Kawhi Leonard before trading him to the San Antonio Spurs on draft night?
Boom. 850-215-6290. Who drafted Kawhi Leonard prior to trading him to the San Antonio Spurs? 850-215-6290. Anybody got a guess in here? You know the answer?
I'm just going to say Midwest.
Okay. So you do know the answer then. I think you do. Because it is in the Midwest. It is in the Midwest. 850-215-6290. What do we want to give away today? Let's go with a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. Who likes swimming? Who wants to go check out them inflatables out there at Kingdom Splash Fest? 2 passes to that. And then, James, we got to add in the good old faithful, right? $25 to not the, but that boot store. 850-215-6290. If you don't know the answer, there's this thing called Google. Just type the question in, which is what team drafted Kawhi Leonard? And then
That's how I got the question.
and then traded him to the Spurs. That particular team could have used him.
Could you imagine? I know a lot of useless knowledge, and it's not all just sports.
I wouldn't say
I've had numerous people tell me I should go in Jeopardy.
Yeah.
They should have a sports Jeopardy.
They did for a bit.
They did.
They did?
We've actually played Jeopardy here on the afternoon show.
Yeah,
before.
Tyler answers no questions right and just gets final Jeopardy and wins.
Yeah. Well, that's because you got this, but you got this huge commanding lead, Chef Ross, and then
I
you
get final
started.
Jeopardy wrong.
I'm bet it all.
Hey, we'll have to do. What's the easiest day for you to come in and do a show with us? I mean, this was not planned, ladies and gentlemen.
No, any day, actually.
Any day?
But the problem is, I'll tell you this much. And, on Monday, we're stocked up with all these thoughts from the whole weekend, right?
Right, yes.
Okay. So Monday seems like a great day to just talk about anything. But you got PCB Hobby Takeover.
I have no
You got NASCAR. You got NASCAR. So you're filled up.
Yeah.
Monday's not a good day for you because you're booked.
Yeah, Monday's the toughest day to get anyone in. I'm actually looking for someone to kind of to fill in on Thursdays. When I say fill in, I mean like doing what Tyler and Chef Ross were doing. I'm looking
bounce ideas off of us.
Yeah, well, yeah, and just to have some. Well, because I had the coach's daughter, Leanne Schwarzentrooper. She was doing it with me on Thursdays, but she's going to take a little bit of time off and try to get back closer to football season. So we'll see. When I say time off, I don't mean from her job. She's just talking about she's a little bit too.
She got mad at Dave.
No, come on. That's my second mom, dude. All right, so we'll talk about all of that stuff off the air. We're still looking for an answer to the trivia question. However, we're talking Super Bowl windows. We left off with talking about who fit. Or no, we were talking about the Bears not really kind of fitting in with closed but opening, more or less like still under renovation until they make the playoffs. I agree. That's what your sentiment was, and then I feel like LSU Jeff kind of hopped on that and compounded that and agreed with that too. So I'm right there with you guys. So with this closed but opening, you've got the Chargers, the Jaguars, the Bears, and the Broncos. Did the Broncos do exactly what we were talking about with the Bears? They made the play. Did they?
They made the playoffs.
Yeah, they made the playoffs last year. I mean, so could we make the argument that Denver is right where they belong at close but opening?
I think Denver and LA the Chargers both kind of belong there. Harbaugh's second year. We're year 3 of Sean Payton, year 2 of Bo Nix. My only concern with the Broncos is Bo Nix at his ceiling already. He played a lot of college football, so he probably came in a little bit more prepared. But is he closer to his ceiling than a lot of rookies? So that's the thing I want to see for him. Like, can he refine his game a little bit?
And how old is Bo? Is he 25?
He was a class of 18.
Yes, class of 18.
So,
he was in 2019. He was at Auburn.
No, I think he was 17, 18, and all. Because I think it was a year before Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, and then he actually got to the NFL after them, which is just hilarious. Because he played against Justin Herbert. And
he's 24.
He's 25 though.
Oh, he's 25 now. Okay.
But February 20. So after he was 24
turned.
during the season.
Yeah, okay.
And then
like I said, just a little bit older for a rookie, super experienced. So like, I'm interested to see if he has that room to grow that some of the other guys do.
I hate to say it, but I do, only because of his time at Auburn, and he comes from Pat Nix, so there's that aspect of it. But I think he's actually, from what I saw from him last year in Sean Payton's offense, I think they've got something cooking over there.
Let me ask you. Yeah. So Justin Herbert above Nix a little bit, right? But Sean Payton
elevates.
Sean Payton above Jim Harbaugh as coach.
Ooh,
that's interesting.
That is interesting, which will take us to hour number 2. Keep that thought. Repose that question when we get back with hour number 2. Give us your thoughts. 850-215-6290. We'll be right back.
Take ESPN Northwest Florida with you everywhere you go.
Anytime, any place, anywhere.
The sports talk and live play-by-play doesn't have to end when you get out of the car. The ESPN Northwest Florida app streams your favorite sports talk hosts and the biggest games in ultra-high fidelity.
This is of utmost importance in travel.
Take the sports talk monster with you anywhere you go. Available for Android and iPhone.
Use it anywhere or any place.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday evening. As we head into tonight, mostly clear skies and a low of 80 with very little wind. For tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine and a temp near 91. In the afternoon and evening, possible thunderstorms and partly cloudy and a high around 92. For Thursday, very light showers and a possibility of thunderstorms and a high of 88. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Celebrate Independence Day with savings that make a difference at the Humane Society's Thrift and Gift Store. June 28th through July 5th. Enjoy up to 60% off all furniture, 40% off all home decor, 50% off select electronics, and more. Every deal helps the rebuild of Bay County's only no-kill shelter. So when you shop, you're giving back. Shop smart and support a great cause. Only at the Humane Society's Thrift and Gift Store, where secondhand shopping saves lives.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. John. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. When the sun sets on the Emerald Coast, the freaks come out and play.
Hi, I'm a recovering crackhead.
Hand me that shotgun.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Get on your knees!
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Had to double check, but we've actually already been through an hour of this show already, and that ran by. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you are today here on ESPN Northwest Florida, it's the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Chef Ross, James Fife, LSU Jeff in the building with us, and this has been so much fun. We've been talking about Super Bowl windows. We've been talking about which teams fit those categories of wide open, open but closing, closed but opening, under renovation, and teams that have no window. But then LSU, Jeff, posed a question going into break. So you basically have the quarterbacks for the Chargers and the Broncos, and then the coaches. So kind of take it from there.
Well, I mean, I was just saying that Herbert, I would take over Nix. I think he's got an edge.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and maybe this is my Saints bias, I may be wrong, but I'm saying Sean Payton over Harbaugh. And it's not that I don't like Harbaugh. I do respect Harbaugh because, I mean, who has been to a Super Bowl but lost and won a national title in college football?
Right.
There's like 3 guys that have done something like that, and Harbaugh's one of them. And I don't know. I just think that those 2 teams are right there in the middle. And I also drug this by y'all, is that if the Raiders knock off one of those 2 teams, they could be missing the playoffs. And I'm saying with a 9-8 record, maybe. I mean, didn't the Broncos steal the wild card from the Dolphins? The Dolphins dove at the end of last year, right?
Yep.
And then the Bengals were being mentioned, but they needed like too many things to happen.
Yeah, they were
basically is what happened. So
they
then
needed the Chiefs to not rest everybody, and the Chiefs played like their JV the entire game
against the Broncos, right?
Yeah,
I think
it could have been.
I think it was against the Broncos. That win helped the Broncos get in.
Yeah,
and it also kept Cincinnati.
Dolphins, probably the Chargers, were the most disappointing team of the AFC last year.
I'd throw the Dolphins in there. They had very high expectations, and
to not make the playoffs at all. I think that's for what everybody thought they were.
Wait, the Chargers made the playoffs.
The Dolphins, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because the Chargers definitely had to have been one of the most disappointing teams in the playoffs because the Texans were not the Texans from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's what we were seeing, right? And then Justin Herbert, who I give the guy flowers all the time. Adam Goff's always like, the guy's just not, like, there's something late in games that just doesn't click with Herbert, and what Herbert cost him that game, right? How many interceptions did he throw?
I think he just threw another one yesterday.
Right? And there was, pick six after pick six. It was just, I would agree with that. The Chargers were the most disappointing team that actually had some sort of hype headed into the playoffs. Yeah. I would say the Ravens to an extent. Yeah. Maybe not a disappointment, but it's just like this is the year for the Ravens.
I'd say the whole AFC was same old story, different chapter.
Yeah, but that's
everybody's
especially with the Bills.
Yeah, Bills, Ravens. Everybody trying to step up to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
and the Chiefs still find a way to win that game and still find a way to get to the Super Bowl.
I mean, I make a lot of predictions.
Yeah.
I'm eventually going to be wrong at some point. No, I mean, you make so many predictions, you will be wrong, right?
Yeah.
I made the prediction last year before the season started that the Ravens were going to Super Bowl and the Chiefs were not, and I was wrong.
Yeah. See, I'm like that too. I make so many predictions. Eventually, I'm going to be right.
I mean, look, Derrick Henry going to the Ravens.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
But it was Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles. That was a bigger difference.
Yeah, you are right. And it was a huge, a great move for the Ravens bringing in Derrick Henry. But, when you got a guy who's almost breaking, what's Eric Dickerson's record of all-time scrimmage yards? Yeah, that's insane. But this right here, because I don't know, and the same conversation for Derrick Henry was held last year, right? Like, how much? He's up there for a running back. He's up there in age. So if I'm the Ravens, it's almost open but closing for them just because of, Derrick Henry. Before Derrick Henry, yes, their window was open. But now they're in an actuality of that window. And if you don't replace Derrick Henry with another running back that fits in with that system, it could be. It could. I don't think Lamar will leave, but it could be Lamar saying, "Hey, guys."
Yeah, because Lamar's playing the best he's ever played.
Yeah,
he had the numbers to be MVP. I agree, Josh Allen deserved it.
Yeah.
But Lamar had the numbers to be MVP again.
It was
recency bias.
It was the same exact thing in the NBA. SGA won the MVP, but if you look at the statistics, no one could give the argument that, Jokic was just as much deserving. I have no issue with the fact that they chose SGA. Same way in the NFL. Yeah. Lamar, by the numbers, you could give the award to him. However, Josh Allen was just as impressive in his own right, and so I had no issue with the MVP.
Not at all, but I'm just saying this was Lamar's statistically best year.
Right.
And I think he's only going to go up from here. They have wide receivers for him now too to throw it to.
Well, they've got the same guys, but all they've added now is DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if that counts, After a receiver hits the Tennessee Titans, that's it.
I feel like when everybody started adding Julio Jones for a year, like it just never...
No, but that's not... Who else? You've had Derek Mason go from the Titans to the Ravens. DeAndre Hopkins, it's not like a direct, line or anything, because with Andre Johnson, well, he was Texans to the Titans to the Colts. But yeah, there's just something about after a wide receiver has been there with the Titans and then he goes to the Ravens. Yeah, that's pretty much the end. But, who knows? DeAndre Hopkins could be a safety net type receiver for Lamar Jackson, and then it's going to be on Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. And obviously, is Isaiah likely going into contract year, or is he free agent right now? There's no way.
I think he's a contract year.
Yeah,
this year.
okay, so you still have him and Mark Andrews. Yeah, this is a year that you've got to get it done if you're the Ravens.
And Mark Andrews has to start hot early.
Yeah.
Or he's going to disappear from everything with the way he dropped that ball. Wait, was it Buffalo? He dropped that winning pass?
Yeah, that dropped 2 passes in that game.
There was one like a first down, and I think one was a 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
because it was Bills Chiefs in the AFC Championship. So it was because imagine had the Ravens taken down the MVP and Josh Allen, and then taken down Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship, and then
he said 5 months right now. Just think about that one drop.
Yeah.
And we haven't even started. Well, I guess we started OTAs and mini camps, but once games start mattering, he's got to do something very positive very quickly to clear his mind from that one drop.
And when do games start mattering, in your opinion?
September.
Okay, game one. Yeah.
Just not
preseason. Yeah. 100% agreed. All right, anything else on the NFL before we dive into college football here?
The Giants are on renovations, but the Steelers have no chance.
Okay, all right. So the Giants are in the under renovation tab, and then
the Giants.
No window is hilarious to me because you have the Steelers, the Jets, the Saints, the Colts, and the Browns.
What's really the difference between under renovation, if
you catch fire, you can make the playoffs.
I don't know if I believe that about most of the teams.
Okay, let's go under renovation. A team that you like, let's say even making the playoffs. Arizona, do they make the playoffs? I'd say no.
They could. If you're going to talk about catching fire, make the playoffs, they could. Do I think they have a legit chance to Super? No.
No.
I think Atlanta has the talent.
No, we're going to go team by team. Arizona,
no.
LSU, Jeff.
You know what? All this under renovations, I will agree with. I can't believe that Pittsburgh's no window.
Yeah.
That's the only one that just boldly just shouts out to me. How can you take a team who's been second and third place in their division year after year after year, never finished in last place? The Browns are not going to get out of the bottom. How can you say there's no window for Pittsburgh this year? And I'm not saying I'm all about Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
I'm just saying you just added somebody who's been to the Super Bowl, and you're telling me there's no window? No window for Pittsburgh?
I think where the issue here, why they look at Aaron Rodgers the previous 2 years, which only one of those years actually counts, right? Because we can't take 5 minutes of a season and count that. So then you look at the age and everything, and maybe the only other thing is, yes, you added DK Metcalf, but you lost Najee Harris, you lost George Pickens. You know, it seems like you've lost more than what you've gained. Mm-hmm. And then behind that, if Aaron Rodgers goes down, like last year, at least they had Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Now it's if Aaron Rodgers goes down, you're looking at either Will Howard or
Mason Rudolph.
Rudolph.
Yes, sir.
I know that makes you happy back there, Jay.
Yes, he's gone from the Titans. I'm happy.
Not only that, but the Pittsburgh's never had a dramatic offseason either. This year, they're very dramatic. Will Aaron sign? When will Aaron sign? Will Aaron show up? What happens if he doesn't show up?
They've had dramatic off seasons, but it was one off season, right? Like Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. But since then, yes, I agree with you.
They've been blue collar, down to work. And this year, there's cameras and everyone's putting a microphone in everyone's face. Do you think Aaron's going to show up? What's going to happen with this? And now that he's there, is Aaron Rodgers married? Is he not married?
Yeah, it's like everything but what's going on the
What
field
color
for
car
them.
did he show up to the stadium with today?
And you know what's sad is that the Steelers have had Pickens, Antonio Brown. They've always had distractions over years, and now you have Aaron
Tomlin's been able
Rodgers,
to keep
and
them
you're
up.
expecting to not have a distraction.
And then also on top of that, I don't know what would have been worse. Having Aaron Rodgers. All right, so Aaron Rodgers is definitely the quarterback of the Steelers, but let's take George Pickens, bring him back to the Steelers. DK Metcalf trade never happens. Basically what I'm getting at is which situation would be worse with Aaron Rodgers? Does he get worse clapback if he's not targeting George Pickens or if he's not targeting DK Metcalf? Like, which one of those would cause more problems? Because we saw it last year, right, with the Jets, Garrett Wilson, but there at the Jets, Aaron Rodgers had his targets and Lazard and Devontae Adams and whoever it may be, whereas now he doesn't have all of those options over here. So will he just be consistently targeting DK
Let's
Metcalf?
back that up to his last year in Green Bay. He couldn't win with these receivers.
Yeah.
3/5 of that receiver core he couldn't win with Green Bay followed him to New York the very next year.
Hey, we couldn't do it over there at Green Bay, but we'll try it in New York where the media is just a little bit tougher. Yeah, I don't. In fact, I would make the argument. I don't know that there's a legitimate window for the Steelers, but I could accept a discussion on the fact that maybe there should be a window for the Steelers. I don't think at all that there's a window for the Jets. However, I could have the discussion that the Jets are going to be better, that they'll have a better record than the Steelers.
So you would be shocked if the Steelers went 10-7.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I could have the discussion that the Jets would be a better team than the Steelers. But I still, right now where I'm at, I still believe that the Steelers will be the better team by the record.
Steelers go 10-7.
Okay.
Shocked? That's one. I mean, that's one game above their normal of 9-8.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would shock me though.
Got two against Baltimore, 2 against Cincinnati. The Browns always seem to catch somebody sleeping.
Yeah.
That's just in your division.
Okay. I mean,
and then they have Dolphins, Chargers, and Colts.
Dolphins, Chargers, and Colts.
Chargers.
And Tomlin's voice may be kind of mummed in that locker room just because he's been there for so long.
I think I would be more shocked that they went 8-9 or. Yeah, I think that they would. I would be more shocked that they went. Shocked is hard for me though because
It sounds like you're sold on 9-8 because this has happened so many times.
Well, not just that, but it really comes down to Aaron Rodgers and how it's going to play out. Because I think that they start off extremely hot. I just don't think that it will last though, and they start playing 500 ball. So like last year they started out 4-0, 4-1, 5-1, something like that.
Yeah, they're hot.
I think that it's more like a 4-1 type start, but then it's every other game, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. So with that, it's kind of hard for me to say, it would shock me that they would go under 500 when in reality. Do I really believe that Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback of what he was? It's kind of like Kevin Durant, where it's like, yeah, you could be a very important piece to this, but I don't think that we're in the days anymore of you being the piece.
I don't think he ever was Durant. I don't think Kevin Durant ever was the piece.
But he's got to be better than like Russell Wilson last year. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. I think who he's replacing is not like he doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers of old.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's always been defense.
Yeah, he's just got to be slightly better than what we saw out of Russell Wilson. I mean, Justin Fields had a good...
What was the selling point on the Jets? They're great defense, right? Mm-hmm. And then what happens midway through the year? They fired their head coach who was a defensive guy. Oh, so I guess this is the saving grace. The Steelers are much more of their franchise is ran much more correctly than what the Jets are.
They're an elite front office. Maybe not elite, but they're a very good front office because if they were elite, they probably would have won a Super Bowl more recently than they have.
I'd say they're competent in the front office there.
Who, the Steelers?
The Steelers.
I would. Okay, they're absolutely a top 10. They might be a top 5 as far as like taking care of people and taking care of business.
They usually have guys that stay. They don't usually have a whole lot of guys arguing about staying, besides Antonio Brown.
3 head coaches in the last 45 years.
Longer than that.
50 years, whatever. It's Chuck Noll.
Chuck Noll in the 70s. And then
Cowher. And
Bill
now
Cowher.
Mike Tomlin. I mean, there's 3 guys for twice as long I've been alive.
Look, I'll tell you right now, the Saints used to be bottom 5 of like taking care of people back in the days. And then as soon as Tom Benson had enough money to afford things, his whole philosophy changed. The way he treated people was differently with money. I mean, there was a lot of people, Ricky Jackson, he left for the 49ers because they just weren't going to pay him what he was worth.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that Tom Benson could do because he wasn't rolling in that dough like he was rolling in that dough, and he used to not be able to roll in that dough.
Yeah.
And now the Saints actually, they take care of people, but now they're just reorganizing all kinds of contracts, and they're buying time, and now it's really, really catching up with. Mickey Loomis is gone after this year, the general manager of the Saints. He's gone.
Are you excited? I mean, but you got to be excited about Kellen Moore.
I am excited about Kellen Moore.
Loomis probably should have been gone before this year.
Yeah. And the same thing with the coach that we just let go. He should have been gone. They've been talking for so long about letting a guy go, and he's
since they hired him.
Every time they talked about letting him go, he went on a winning streak, and they couldn't let him go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we had Travis call in, and it was because he's a Saints fan, Travis Peterson, a Saints fan, and a Gators fan, and he was like going into the year, he really wanted Billy Napier gone and Dennis Allen to stay because the Saints started off so hot the 2 games. They're like the hottest team that's ever started an NFL season.
7 losses in a row is insane.
Oh, my goodness.
I've never seen a team go 2-0 like they did and then lose 7 in a row. I've never seen that.
And get whooped in some of those games, too, yeah.
And they were losing to teams like, it was a Seahawks beat us, I don't know, 17-3 or 21-3 or 24-3 or something where it wasn't even close against bad teams.
Yeah.
The Patriots are the most intriguing under-renovation team in my book. I think
you ever heard of Cam Ward, bro? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, keep going, though, because I'm intrigued.
I think that with Vrabel coming over and reinstilling the Patriot way, the not cheating Patriot way, that their last couple drafts that they've had have been very good drafts.
Yeah,
that they have a chance to
sweep the Jets.
Hey, I'm actually on board with that. I would
outside of the Bills. That's a very mediocre division.
They could finish.
You think the Patriots are going to beat the Bills one time?
No, I said
this
outside
year?
of the Bills.
Oh, outside of the Bills. Okay, thank God.
You got Jets, Patriots.
Oh, it's like that ain't happening.
And Dolphins. That are very mediocre teams.
I could see the Patriots beating the Bills in New England this year.
Wow.
The defense is a lot better than what it's getting credit for. You also have Vrabel coming in, who was pretty good with those Titans defenses as well, and we didn't have names over there. Then Drake May being able to elevate his play, or, year 2. I could see Vrabel having a good game plan. Hey, listen, Vrabel with the Titans against the Bills, would have some good game plans for Josh Allen. But that's Stephon Diggs is with the Patriots now. I'm like, well, that's easy. He's not even on the Bills no more. Well, you can't hand him any of those bags with pink substance in it because that will not help him stay quiet. So I like that, though. And another team, we've already talked about the Raiders a little bit. Miami still under renovation. The Giants are probably going to be the most fun team under renovation just because of the quarterback room. Like, I'm going to go listen to every single Giants press conference from now on. Just like, I don't know why I haven't been doing this since Jameis Winston came into the league. Why have I not just followed Jameis Winston and I don't care if you played, bro. I want to hear your thoughts on the game.
He was the greatest Super Bowl analyst of all time.
Looking at this list, what is the argument for Carolina being above Indianapolis?
The Colts,
I know the quarterback situation is what it is, but
Jones.
But as a whole, though, I don't know if I don't like the Colts. I mean, I know quarterback's an important position, but I don't think Bryce Young is.
He played better after they benched him.
Yeah, he did. But I just don't know if I'd have them as a under. You know what I'm saying? I
think I would lump Arizona and Carolina and maybe Tennessee and the Giants in there with there's no window. I think that, having the number 1 overall pick for the Titans and Cam Ward, maybe you can make it's definitely under renovation. That's the difference. When you look at under renovation, you're basically looking at teams with either new coaches or new quarterbacks. Right? I mean, Vegas got Pete Carroll.
New Orleans got both, and they're in the no window.
Yeah, that's a good point. But they have nothing, though, because outside for the Saints, though, in reality,
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, like,
you got the kid from Louisville, Shug.
Oh, God.
Right, I mean, bro.
How in the world did we... That was stupid. That was one of the boneheadest picks of the whole entire
Would you rather
draft.
have him or Shador?
What's that?
Would you rather have him or Shador?
The fact that you have to think makes it a better pick than what you're explaining to me, right?
I think it's even.
Okay.
I think it's even. I think Shador has the wrong attitude and maybe not the best work ethic. Because when you're a second generation like that, either you have the drive or you don't have the skills, or you learn enough from your dad and follow in his footsteps to do something. And his mind's not right. That's the problem with Shore, where this guy is not, he just doesn't have it. I mean, I don't know. I would have picked the Syracuse QB that came from Ohio State.
McCord?
Oh, yeah,
McCord. I would take Kyle McCord in the third round over both of those guys. And you know, I may be wrong. I may be wrong about Will Howard, too, with the Patriots. So I think that he's a person who's just going to listen, and he won't be a superstar, but he'll be a system player.
Drake May? Or Will Howard?
Will Howard. Will Howard coming from Ohio State. He was at Kansas State before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he is a system player that he can actually do something, but he's not a superstar. He's not a great athlete to me.
But
So
he's going to be playing underneath Aaron Rodgers, so...
Wait, who is?
Will Howard is.
Will Howard is.
Yeah, he's back up. It's Drake May that's
he's
at New England.
And then you
that's
right.
Wait, did they let go of Joe Milton or did they keep
traded him to the...
That's right. Yeah.
Was it the Cowboys?
I can't remember.
Yeah, that's confusing because that guy's an athlete.
Dude, I agree.
The biggest question about Shug is he's never played more than 7. He's played more than 7 games in a season in college, like
Last
once.
year,
and that was
right?
last year.
Yeah.
Every other year he played less than, and it's like that's a red flag.
It was a second or third round pick. Second
round pick. Early second.
That was awful.
Yeah.
That was awful.
Hey, you heard it here from a Saints fan, so we know how you guys are feeling.
So keep your blood pressure up because Caveman Rick says that Harbaugh is a way better coach than Sean Payton.
I mean, but and as what he mentioned earlier, though, he's saying, and there's a little bit of a Saints bias in there, but my thing is this. Yes, Harbaugh has won a national championship in college. Cool. He made it to the Super Bowl, lost to his brother. Cool. And I was someone when Sean Payton was the next big hire before he went to the Broncos. I was like, I just don't know if this, like, yes, he made it to the Super Bowl, but is he that great of a coach? He proved it last year.
So,
yes,
and I think to Jeff's point, he was talking about the quarterback play specifically. Like he said, so like as a quarterback coach, I don't think you can really argue that Sean Payton isn't better with what he did. I mean, obviously it was all with Drew Brees for the most part. But what he did with Bo Nix last year, so like I think that's the bigger argument. We're not talking overall head coaches.
Payton also
I don't
did
think.
good
he's a
But if you're talking about the quarterback side of it, I think
him.
that's where I have no problem giving Payton the nod over Harbaugh. Although I think Harbaugh is a great coach and he's done great with quarterbacks. What Harbaugh or what Payton and Brees did is hard to ignore when you're evaluating.
Harbaugh's more of the game manager type coach because there's no Jim Harbaugh offensive system, there's no Jim Harbaugh defensive system, but you have a Sean Payton offensive
But he's
system.
more defense and run heavy, whereas Sean Payton is more aerial pursuit, I would say.
Yeah.
They're more of an aerial offense or aerial attack. And then, I mean, they always had a good defense over there at the Saints too, though, right?
Yeah, with the Bounty Gate.
They're motivated. And do they attract players to come to them for free agency? And I think the answer is yes with the Broncos.
Yeah. That's definitely. At first, I thought you were talking about New Orleans. Is New Orleans an attractive place for free agents?
It was when Sean was there. I'll give him that.
It was, okay, the city is not. Yes, you're right.
No,
But
I was
to play for Sean Payton, though.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the attractive thing.
Yeah.
Because you've seen the video where Reggie Bush talks about his agent right before he got picked.
Yeah.
And his agent basically said, hey, Saints, don't pick Reggie Bush. He's never going to play a day for you. He wants to go to New York with the third pick. And then, and then Sean Payton said, that's okay. We're drafting him anyway. Click. Because Sean Payton was like, dude, he slipped out. Was it Mario Williams?
Yeah, Mario,
first pick. Yeah. When he slipped to number 2, all the Saints fans were like, oh my God, we're getting Reggie Bush. And it's not that we loved USC. It's that we just saw how he played at USC, and it was mind blowing. And we were like, we got chills. We were like, we just got Reggie Bush. That's crazy.
Which is, I can kind of what's the word that you're looking for when compare, but that's not the word that I'm looking for. When the Titans drafted Derrick Henry, And Reggie Bush is higher on that. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of college, Reggie Bush was much more electric than what Derrick Henry is. Both Heisman winners. So, but I can feel what you're feeling. For Titans fans, I think, especially if you were an Alabama fan and a Titans fan, you're like, okay, like this could be the piece in the future and it did. I mean, we got a number 1 seed out of it.
So what has it been? The Detroit coach has been there for 3 years.
Dan Campbell, this will be
his fourth.
This will be fourth, but he's been there 3 years. Yeah.
Before he got there, same thing with New Orleans. Who wants to go play at Detroit?
Right.
And now you're like, oh, it's that coach. I want to go play for that coach.
Heck, Barry Sanders barely wanted to play. Calvin Johnson barely wanted to play in Detroit.
They
retired early for a reason.
They didn't treat their people right, just like the Saints used to not.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Kudos to Dan Campbell for changing that culture, too, because it takes the coach to do it.
So the question is, can Vrabel be like Dan Campbell because he's a player and he's a coach and he's got that type of potential, I think.
He does, but...
Go ahead.
Well, just real quick, I'll say... they're two different people in the sense of the sound bites. Like, because Vrabel's already been a head coach, he doesn't really give as much...
He's more filtered?
I would say, not that he's unfiltered, but it's just kind of coach speak. Whereas I don't find what Dan Campbell does coach speak. I think it's more like a little bit more authentic.
And I think part of that's the Bill Belichick. And I think his familiarity in New England from his time as a player, his really I think that should be it should be relatively smooth. Like, he should know exactly what he's getting in Robert Kraft as an owner. You know, like it should be as smooth of a transition as you could hope for. Whether it works out for him or not, that's a whole different thing. But like, it shouldn't be because this was a terrible culture fit. The culture should be there, you know.
But they hired last year.
But Gerard Mayo was a Patriot guy also, though.
Right, that's why
he was a Bill guy. So like,
I think he was Bill's guy, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and he never had head coaching experience prior to that. That's the difference in Vrabel.
You're absolutely right, and there's only one joke that I can just popped into my head, and I can't get it out. Is when Steinbrenner, Billy Martin, when he hired Billy Martin, was it Billy Martin?
I think so. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, he got hired, and he was in front of the podium, and then he was talking, and then and he said something about they're going to allow me to do whatever I want, and then Steinbrenner's like, no, we're not gonna. And these guys had history of like decades of like him being a player for the Yankees and everything, and Steinbrenner was like having an argument at the press conference, hiring him, and it was like, you have all this history, y'all should have already been like,
it should have been a pretty easy,
solid ground. There's no controversy, and then all of a sudden at the hiring at the podium they're having issues.
Yeah,
it's like crazy.
Yeah, they also had a near brawl in the dugout.
Who did? The Yankees?
Yeah, well, this is back then. It was between Martin and Reggie Jackson, and I guess.
Oh, they had that too. Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Oh man, that's a great analogy. Well, we've had another extremely long segment to open it up. Baby, I love this stuff. Hey, we're diving into college football when we get back.
Good.
We got. Hey, listen, we've got an LSU guy.
These are college athletes.
With us. there you go. We've got LSU, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina to talk about. So we will dive into it when we get back. Keep it locked in here to ESPN Northwest Florida.
Celebrating 2 years of broadcasting history.
I told you this would work.
It's the Best of Day awarded Inside Drive on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Weekdays 11 to 1 with Ryan Mulvey.
I love it.
Covering the biggest stories, breaking news, the latest trades, and taking your calls. The Inside Drive is live and local middays from the Gulf Plus studios.
Happy anniversary.
Reckon was on roids.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday evening. As we head into tonight, mostly clear skies and a low of 80 with very little wind. For tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine and a temp near 91. In the afternoon and evening, possible thunderstorms and partly cloudy and a high around 92. For Thursday, very light showers and a possibility of thunderstorms and a high of 88. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. He likes to lift weights in a parking lot and eat Weight Gainer 3000.
I'm really starting to feel out nasty.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Drew. We are back in the doghouse. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're discussing a little NBA trades, but we've got plenty of time to talk about that. One thing I do got to say, we just talked about how hold on, let me bring us into the segment. Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop. We've got Chef Ross, LSU Jeff, James Fife in the building with us. The number to call or text is the Red 17's phone line, 850-215-6290. All right, let's see. CBC Construction is the sponsor of our studios. You can visit them at cbcconstruction.com. Call them at 850-747-3815. Braves coming up tonight, 6 o'clock, first pitch, 6:10, taking on the Mets. Who's on the mound tonight? Spencer Strider going up against Frankie Montas, who is making his debut this year for the Mets as he's coming off the injured list. Atlanta Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida, brought to you locally by Best Way Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South, Lumber, and Brock Pest Control. So I was talking about how I didn't think that Sean Payton was going to be the best hire for the Broncos. Was wrong about that. I'll say that off rip. The first year I was like, oh, I got a little hope. Kind of like Tyler Bishop with Mike Norvell over there at Florida State, you know? I also said Chet Holmgren was going to be a bust. And because of not because of his talent, but because of being too frail for it. I was wrong about that. World champion already, and great stuff there from the Thunder. As much as I hate it, it was still a great run by the Thunder. All right, let's dive into our SEC previews. We're supposed to be doing 4 teams each week. Highly unlikely we get past anything other than LSU today. So we'll just, that saves prep work for me next week, right, guys? These are the hardest things to prep, bar none, because you just got to go to as many sources as you can for previews for 2025. For LSU, they went 9-4 in 2024. Their 2025 win total is going to be set at 8.5. Brian Kelly possibly coaching for his job. Garrett Nussmeier, possible Heisman finalist. One of the 3, we were just talking about this, one of the 3 returning quarterbacks in the SEC each and every time that happens with LSU. Going back to Joe Burrow year 1, Joe Burrow year 2, oh my goodness. Jaden Daniels year 1, Jaden Daniels year 2. If LSU had a defense that year that Jaden Daniels won the Heisman, I mean, we could be talking about a different team. Well, now here we got Garrett Nussmeier. Didn't look the sharpest at all times last year, but here we are, seeing him again as the returning starter for LSU. What are you thinking about LSU here, Tyler, our college football prognosticator? Then we'll pass it off to LSU Jeff.
A few weeks ago, James had a $2 bet segment we did, and I said if I had a $2 bet, I'd probably like a nice value. I think it was LSU to win the SEC. They were like 7-1 odds at the time. So a $2 bet paid out like 14 wasn't bad. But again, you got Garrett Nussmeier coming back. You've got Blake Barnett or Blake Baker coming into his second year, coming over from what he was doing with Missouri. Harold Perkins got hurt last year. I think they needed to let him. I think he was trying, in LSU, Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were trying to play him too much as a traditional linebacker and not just let him go rush the passer. That's what he did so well as a freshman that really got him onto the scene. I feel like they were asking him to do too much. It's like, just when somebody's good at something, let him do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially a guy like that. Obviously, they lost Mason Taylor, I believe, into the draft this year. You talk about lost the 2 offensive tackles, lost the offensive coordinator. I think he went to Notre Dame, if I'm remembering correctly. So there is some transition there in the coaching staff. But LSU is one of those teams, like, they can be really good when people aren't always expecting them. I've said before, I think LSU's arguably the best job in college football. I'm a little surprised Brian Kelly hasn't been a little better. I thought he was going to really do some great things in LSU. Not that he hasn't won a decent amount, but I would have expected an SEC title or more than one appearance at this point, especially if you had told me Saban had stepped back and that. But they're an interesting team, and I mean, they've done well in the portal. It looks like I'm having to catch up on some of the names, but they're going to be a really fun team. The schedule sets up relatively okay. I know they got to play Bama, but I don't think that they don't get Texas, they don't get Georgia, they don't get Tennessee, I don't believe. I don't know if do they all play Ole Miss this year?
So, yeah.
So that'll be a tougher game as well, but
watch out for
manageable.
So the problem is that when I say 9-3, I could paint the picture for you very easily because Ole Miss, Alabama, and Clemson are all on the road.
Oof, that's tough.
So you're 9-3. So you beat A&M in Florida at home. I'm not really worried about South Carolina or Vandy at home. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, Vandy's on the road.
Well, you got to worry about that one. Diego Pavia said so.
Oh, my God.
I did forget about that Clemson game week 1. That's going to be a big, that's a huge game for both teams.
Is that True Road or is that neutral site game?
I want to.
Which one?
True Road. Clemson.
The Clemson game.
No, Clemson's at Clemson.
Yeah.
To open the season. And then we got a couple of cupcakes behind it.
It's a fair word.
And then you've got like early on, you got like South Carolina and Ole Miss. So
after Clemson, you got a couple of cupcakes after that?
I think it's one of them's Louisiana Tech.
Yep, one of them is. The other one's Florida.
Yeah, a couple coaches.
I wanted you to stand by that.
Is it Louisiana Monroe after that, or who is it? Somebody.
It is Southeast Louisiana, SELA.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, they're worse than, oh, God.
They only got a good band, though.
But here's the thing. You lose the season opener versus Clemson. You win, 4 in a row, and then you lose to Ole Miss? Is that right? Is that 4-2?
Yeah.
4-2. So then the LSU fans.
Well, you would be, if you're losing to Clemson.
Losing to Clemson and Ole Miss.
So you'd be 3-2 at that point.
3-2. Okay.
All right.
So at that point, LSU fan base is livid.
Yeah.
And they are ruthless. Like, I hate the fact that, you lose 2 games and the LSU fans, like, they hate you. They want to bring you over to their barbecue, feed you, love your whole family and everything. You lose 2 games like that, 3-2. They want to kick you out and tell you weren't anything and they would never liked you.
Is Brian
throw
Kelly
up all that food that we coach you.
Is Brian Kelly the head coach next year?
Yes.
At 9-3. If
at 9-3, that's my prediction.
Yeah.
He goes 9-3. That was my prediction last year also, by the way.
So you were right on.
No, I was a game off. One game because we went 8-4 and then we won a bowl
game against.
But so I was one off. I mean, not that far off.
That's
but anyway.
Nothing. Yeah.
9-3. You lose at Bama. I'm going to that game, by the way.
Ooh.
I'm going to Tuscaloosa.
November 8th.
And it'll be the second time I've been to Tuscaloosa.
All right.
And Coach Hale talks about how horrible the LSU fans are. And you know what? I fail to always mention that, when you're in somebody else's den, it's tough. And I've been to Tuscaloosa. I've been to, Oxford, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Okay. And when you're in their house, they're pretty nasty too.
Right.
Yeah.
And in LSU, it's like you have really friendly people that'll feed you their tailgating food. Mm-hmm. And then, and there's other people that are like yelling in your face.
Yeah.
And
I've always found like typically you get the energy you give out. I've been to Baton Rouge, I've been to Neyland, I've been to the Florida Georgia game in Jacksonville. Like I've been to Auburn, I've been to a lot of places, and I always hear like, oh, this team's the worst. I've never had a bad experience. Like, I've had a pretty good experience because I'm not before, what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be that guy before the game either. I did have some issues, I will say, Ohio State fans at the Peach Bowl in 2022. I did have issues with them. Unprovoked, completely unprovoked. I mean, mostly unprovoked, but they're the only families I can think of right offhand that I've actually had an issue with, and they're not even like a rival or anything. But like I said, I think part of that is you get out what you put into the world, and that, you know,
that's true.
I like that that point though. Yeah, and I think that's right. We don't want fans to be nasty, but also at the same time,
That's
there's
part of it, though.
That's the part, right?
Yeah.
Don't be disrespectful, but at the same time, it's like, hey, haha, you're not welcome here, type deal.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't be
like,
disrespectful, but toe that line of respect.
Yeah,
disrespect.
I want a little trash talk though.
Yeah,
Like that's part of like
exactly.
you know like
I want it if I'm a visiting fan. I want like somewhere. I remember one time I was at Truist watching a Braves game, and the Dodgers beat us, and this Braves fan just walks up to this Dodgers fan and just starts talking crap to him, and it's not trash talk though. It's like,
it's personal.
Yeah, kind of deal. But it's because he's a fan. And it's like, my goodness gracious. So then now I'm like, I don't even like the Braves fan. I'm like more cool with the Dodgers guy over here because of how you're acting. But like, I like when the Braves suck or whatever it may be that they say when they're walking by. All right, cool. Like if we could say that and have a smile on our face walking by, then that is perfect.
Have you seen the videos from the Giants fan, the heckler guy? That's always like heckling the outfield.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Because he started out like in AAA and AA and stuff. I want to say doing that.
The first ones I've always seen was him at the Giants Stadium.
Maybe I'm tripping, but yeah.
The latest ones, he was at the Twin Stadium heckling fans or heckling players.
Yeah. Hey, great! That would be real wild to be talking trash. Yeah, talking trash to the infielders. All right, we've got more to talk about here with LSU and some of the other SEC teams that we have picked out, but we don't have enough time in this segment, so we're going to try to get as much as we can wrapped up in the final segment of the afternoon. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
Mornings on ESPN Northwest Florida just got unsportsmanlike.
The Kevin Durant situation in Houston feels a lot like the Aaron Rodgers situation with the Jets.
Oh, no.
This is not where, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, obviously, this won't be the place where he's had the most success in his playing career, but this will be the thing that we remember the most.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Weekdays 5 to 7 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Now in stock at Tommy Otto's.
2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee Altitude. Luxury at a value price. $13,995 or a 2017 Hyundai Santa Fe Sport with one owner. Sporty and affordable. $11,995 at Tommy Autos.
Buy here, pay here. Financing options available. Everyone is approved. Tommy Autos, 2209 West 15th Street, Panama City. 850-960-8664. For the latest deals and specials, follow Tommy Autos on Facebook. Add tag, tax, and title.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. Hot takes, the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
4.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs final segment of the day here live from the CBC Construction Studios. Call them at 850-747-3815. David Hayes here along with Tyler Bishop, Chef Ross, LSU Jeff, also known as Jeff Simpson. That's his government name. And then we got James Fife back there on the ones and twos. We just got done talking about LSU. Was it the greatest previews of all time? Well, we had an LSU fan in the building with us, so I think that part makes it great. But we didn't go as deep as maybe what we would have liked to. But for time constraints, we'll come back to LSU for the season. So they're one of the big guns. We'll be talking a lot about them throughout the season. One of the other teams I want to talk about is South Carolina. Before we do that, win totals sitting at 8.5. Of course, we're going to go through every single schedule in the SEC and do win-losses by each game. But how do you feel about the win total, 8.5, over under that?
I was going to say 10-2 with them beating Clemson week 1, but I don't know if Brian Kelly week 1 has not been great. Notre Dame, Florida State a few years ago, they had to go to overtime to win that game against a poor Florida State team. 2 years at LSU against Florida State, lost both those. Lost last year against USC.
Man, well, I forgot about the runs that he had against
It's just not, I mean, this is going to be at least his 5th year. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's at least 4 in a row he's lost week 1. And not even all at LSU.
Yeah.
Like, he even goes back to his Notre Dame, and like I made my thoughts on Norvell. Like, he's been outcoached by Mike Norvell 3 or 4 years in a row, or 3 or 4 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll say 9-3. I wanted to give him that win against Clemson, but I just can't do it based on his week 1 performances.
My thing is that I'm stuck in between the Nussmeier hype because I don't believe in Brian Kelly as I just don't think that the culture fit, and maybe you agree with this. The culture fit with LSU is
a family affair.
Yeah, and so I haven't liked that. I think Kelly's a better than a serviceable coach, but I don't think he's going to bring LSU to national to be a national champion. But then I sit here and I'm like, I don't think Garrett Nussmeier's like as good as the hype. But then I follow the trend of Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and take the over here on this because I see 8-4 possibly, that Clemson game being the one to kind of flip things.
So wait a minute.
If they win, I see 9-3.
So if they beat Clemson, you say 9-3. Who's the third team that they lose to? They lose on the road to Alabama and on the road to Ole Miss.
Right. And
Who's
then
the third loss?
The third loss would be either South Carolina or
at home.
Yeah. I don't believe in Oklahoma right yet, but they're at the house for that one. So my 2 options would be South Carolina and A&M. It would be one of those. And I would lean more towards South Carolina. Lenore Sellers versus Garrett Nussmeier is one of the premier. That's a premier matchup of quarterbacks there. The thing is South Carolina going to be? It's one thing to go from not being expected to do anything to having this 9-4 season as South Carolina did last year. Mm-hmm. It's a totally different thing for people to have you on their radar and then you still bring that to the table. So if they beat Clemson, it's probably more likely 10-2. Fair. And here's the other thing. We're giving credit to Ole Miss for what? Because Lane Kiffin's track record there so far. But does his track record scream like that? Now, who's the quarterback? Simmons?
Austin Simmons.
Austin Simmons, yeah. So maybe he turns Ole Miss, or keeps Ole Miss on track. But shoot, Ole Miss could be a very winnable game. I would say coin toss for that one. Alabama. Who does Alabama got at quarterback? Tyson. All right. Wait. No, Ty Simpson. Yeah, Ty Simpson. No, Paul Tyson was like a backup.
Well, and kind of to your point about Ole Miss, like. They beat Georgia last year, but outside that, what is Lane Kiffin's best win as Ole Miss? Like, that was the whole, that was the discussion going into that game. Like, he's going to eventually win one of these games, and he did. But, like, outside that is what Penn State in the Peach Bowl, which is great, but it's still James Franklin at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, so, yeah, I mean, maybe we are giving Ole Miss a little too much. I don't know too much, but a lot of credit for a team that went 9-3 last year and hasn't won anything with Lane Kiffin.
So that's assumed on the the Lane Kiffin era of Ole Miss. Alabama's built up on a brand that the head coach isn't a part of that brand that was built, right? So I mean, Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback for Florida State, maybe not the smartest thing in the world to say, but he said Saban can't save him. Hey, one thing you can't disagree with is that
he ain't wrong.
He ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. He can't come in and save us. But yeah, it's that going back to LSU South Carolina, that game could be one of the games of the year. But yeah, Ole Miss, there's not a team on LSU's schedule that you can't make the argument that LSU's better on paper right now because they have the returning quarterback. That's how big of a deal that is.
As the late great Stuart Scott says, games aren't played on paper. They're played inside TV screens.
Well, but previews are played on paper because we're not going to be able to see a game for a long time. Well, I say a long time. What are we at?
50 days?
8 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that.
8 weeks, yeah. So sounds about right there.
I think y'all said like 45 days on the inside drive.
I think it was like 56. Which would be 8 weeks, right? Because 7 times 8, 50.
Yeah, like math, baby. Let's go.
That math.
Yeah, but you be counting them Tuesdays, man. He keeps me on track. He's like, we got this many Tuesdays till college football.
Yeah, that's when I'm useful on the show again.
Dude, I love it, man. All right, one more thing for. Well, actually, this. All right, so did you do your win total for LSU?
Since y'all are taking the over,
You're going under?
I'm going under.
My man, James, what about you? What you thinking? Over, under here for LSU?
Ooh, Ooh, that 8.5 is right where it probably needs to be. Let's give me the over.
Who is that, Vandy?
Give me the over.
Here you got the...
I'll take the over.
Over. All right, I like it. South Carolina, 2024, they were 9-4. 2025, their win total sitting at 7.5. Start right there. Tyler, 7.5. Does that feel easily achievable without looking at their schedule based on their hype?
Man, two years ago, I think it was, I felt good about South Carolina coming in the year. I think their win total was like 4.5. I was like, I feel good. And they ended up going like 3-9. So without knowing their schedule right offhand, like, and I know they don't play Georgia, so like that's a game I could take. I mean, I know they, I mean, they do have to play Bama. That's a game they, very close to winning last year. But 7.5,
Coastal Carolina.
7.5 feels low without looking at their schedule. I haven't looked at it yet. It feels low.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, just seeing that number, I'm okay. So then we'll go ahead, Jim. Or go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was thinking that, see that 9-4? They lost their bowl game.
Yeah.
So they're really a 9-3 team. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
In realism, and also they were the fourth team out of the playoffs. It was Bama, Miami, Ole Miss, and then South Carolina was the fourth team out. That's how close they are to the playoffs last year. And the year before, they upset Tennessee towards the end of the year and gave Tennessee their second loss. I think it was Milton.
It was when Hendon Hooker tore his ACL.
Yeah. Hendon Hooker was on his
Spencer
Heisman
Rattler,
thing,
baby.
and they destroyed Tennessee.
Yeah,
I mean,
just 63 to
so
like
South Carolina
when they
loves South Carolina loves this underdog story. And is it Holtz? Skip Holtz?
No, it's
Shane Beamer.
Oh, Beamer. I knew it was a what do you call it? Like a
he's
legacy.
In the UFL with like the Birmingham Stallion or something like that.
So Frank's his dad. And then I kind of like them. They like the underdog role.
See, but they're not the underdog as much this year. Like that's the difference. Is like they have a little bit of the target.
7.5 sounds like underdog.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, though.
Yeah.
I do think that's a good point. The win total, I think that the hype
win total doesn't match the hype that Sellers is getting, and the hype that South Carolina did have to end the season. Like it is an interesting what does Vegas know that I don't? Because looking at their schedule, I don't see 3 games on there that I'm saying they're definitely losing, much less 5.
Yeah.
It's a very manageable schedule.
Because we don't know what Kentucky's. I mean, we just mentioned the 3 returning quarterbacks in the SEC, and that is it. Outside of that, what do you make the argument for Auburn having Jackson Arnold?
He's not a returning quarterback.
Yeah, not to them.
I mean, at that point, anybody who started anywhere is a returning quarterback.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, we can talk about Ole Miss, we can talk about Alabama and Texas A&M as toss-ups. Oh, and LSU's got to be a toss-up too, but it's in Death Valley, so that's...
I'm looking at Hard Rock right now. Under 7.5 is -140, so people are thinking the under here.
That's crazy to me.
The over is
I'll
plus...
take that bet. I'm going over.
Over is plus 110.
Wow.
Yeah, that's...
Because, they get Clemson at the house, I mean, they get Bama at the house, Oklahoma at the house. Death Valley is going to be a tough game. I mean, if we're talking at Ole Miss, I mean, we talked about that one. We're giving maybe Ole Miss a little credit.
Hey, in that Hendon Hooker year, guess what South Carolina did that year?
Beat Clemson.
They beat teams at home, and they were horrible on the road. They lost 3 games on the road that some of them you were they lost to Missouri. What happened? And then they beat Tennessee at home, and it was wow, South Carolina's home field advantage.
I mean, they get Sandstorm playing, the Towels. I mean, you get Virginia Tech week 1. I mean, Virginia Tech hasn't been what Frank Beamer ironically had them. South Carolina State, Vandy at the house, Missouri on the road. You're looking at their schedule.
South Carolina's going to beat Missouri.
I mean, if you want to give Bama and Clemson 2 guaranteed losses, which both of those are at the house. I don't know if I see 3 teams. I feel confident saying I don't know. 5 losses seems like a lot. I'm surprised with all, like I said, with all the hype they kind of had to end the season. People arguing they should have been above Bama in the final playoff spot. If Bama got in, there's the argument the other way. I'm not whatever, but the hype that they got, and that's where I'm shocked.
Yeah. That whole conversation. I'm glad that they went with SMU. Bama was going to get embarrassed in the playoffs. I did not want to see that happen. But then if you would have let South Carolina in over Alabama and be like, all right, so what's up with these head-to-heads then? You know what I mean? Like, are we just
a slippery slope there?
Exactly. So I'm glad that they went the direction that they did. So South Carolina's beat Clemson 2 out of the last 3 years because they won in 22, they lost in 23, then they won back in 20. They won last year 17-14. So they've been some pretty close games in that series as well. You're right though, man. It's hard for me to be like,
I'd have to bet the over right now.
Smash.
Oh yeah, especially at plus money.
Yeah, come on. They're not going to have Rocket this year, Raheem Sanders. So that's they got to replace him in the run game. But
Dylan Stewart was a monster rushing the passer last year. Like I said, the biggest thing for me is can Beamer manage a team of that people are talking about to an extent, but 7.5 is a bit of a, to Jeff's point, that makes you kind of the underdog role.
All right, I've got 2 minutes left. Vanderbilt's win total is another interesting one. It's at 4.5. I'll read the schedule off real quick since we only have 2 minutes. We've got Charleston Southern, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Georgia State, Utah State, at Alabama, LSU at the house, Missouri at the house, Texas on the road, Auburn at the house, Kentucky at the house, Tennessee on the road. 4.5. Do you think they can get to 5? Oh, that's so tough.
I'm gonna say yes. They get to 5. I think they get over 4.5.
2, 3.
Georgia State, Utah State.
Hard Rock saying they're getting to 5.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, it's minus 175 for the over and plus 140 for the under.
Charleston Southern, Georgia State,
over
6.
6?
I'm not going 5. I'm going 6.
All right, I like that. You could even play with the odds a little bit there, man. 4.5 for sure. 6, I don't know. This is the first year I can ever think of my life that I'm actively rooting against Vanderbilt because well, this is because they beat us, actually. That has more to do with it. Had we beaten it, I think it would have been cute what Diego Bobby
exactly, yeah, no.
But nah, you beat us, so that's an insult to injury, my dude. No, it's going to be a great college football season. We're a ways away from it, but still, we'll be talking about it just about every single day. LSU Jeff, thanks so much for stopping by, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
James, enjoy your vacay, bro.
Thank you.
We'll see him back here about middle of July or early, once we get to about double digits of July. Chef Ross, see you on the Inside Drive tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Tyler Bishop, see you next Tuesday.
Porzingis just got traded to the Hawks.
Oh, man, we've had, so the NBA is getting busy. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. Possibly, yeah, I've got Banji on. We'll be talking some basketball with Banji. All right, hey, Jesus loves you, so do I. Y'all have a great day. Be safe.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
I was born and raised a Razorback fan. I guess that hurts the real, Paul.
That's the hard part.